I played that because I was having an interesting conversation with somebody today concerning revolution and black people's place within it, right? And it just occurred to me as I'm seeing these, this fad of blackness, this fad of Pan-Africanism, natural, and things like this. The revolutionary talk was also an ongoing fad. Actually started in the 50s amongst black people and went into the 60s, but I see it creeping its head up again in the millennium. And groups like the new Black Panther Party that's had been restarted back, by people like Khalid Muhammad and them. And also in the mindset of pop culture, American pop culture. You see movies like Che Guevara. You're hearing about people that you probably never heard of maybe 10, 15, maybe 20 years ago, like Che Guevara, right? And you had a lot of black people wearing Che Guevara shirts, even though Che Guevara was a known racist who didn't like black people, right? But you still had people, especially your revolutionary talking Negroes, who was wearing these Che Guevara shirts talking about revolution this and revolution that, black power this, black this, black revolution this, black nationalism this, all of that, right? But, I had to ask myself because a lot of people always, come to me and when I'm talking about the evolution of a people, they always come to me and they say, well, you know what, why, brother, why are you not talking about black power in Africa and revolution and this, that, and the third, and, and I, said to him, there's only two people, from my observation that benefit from revolution. And that is the people who are the society controllers and the undertakers. These are the people who benefit from revolution. What do I mean by that? You have your society controllers, right? They, every once in a while, need to flex their muscle, right? They need to go through a training exercise to exert power, right? So what better way to exert power, what better way to flex their muscle at home in, the urban areas and the suburban areas than to breed homegrown terrorists, to breed homegrown revolutionaries, to breed people who are against the system. It's the same way you breed criminals here in the society, right? You allow organized crime to exist here, and you play the game of cat and mouse with these people, where you arrest them when you feel like it, you lock them up, you pass laws, and you do something just to basically keep your machine oiled. You do this to keep your machine well oiled and in working condition, to flex your muscle, to exercise your authority, right? You create homegrown revolutionaries for the purpose of catching them, using your law enforcement, flexing your muscle to destroy these groups. You use your intelligence organizations to infiltrate these groups. They need exercise. They have to stay sharp. If you don't have, if a weightlifter don't have weights to lift, he's going to get flabby, right? If an intellectual doesn't have, an educated person doesn't have books to read, they're going to get, in their estimation, stupid. If an intellectual is not receiving higher intelligence, advanced thinking, because that's truly what an intellectual is, not someone who reads books, but one who has natural intelligence or receives natural intelligence. If he is not receiving or she is not receiving natural intelligence, then their mind will turn to crap, right? Exercise, right? Exercise. This is what these people are after. They know about a lot of these groups. I'm talking about your powers that be, the ones who control society, your society controllers, the people with the money. Hell, they'll even bankroll little revolutionary groups, little homegrown revolutionary groups. They'll allow these people to exist for 10, 20, 30 years. They know all the rhetoric. They know all of their, the talk. They implant agents in there and things like that, just to get people just to get their people some practice. Then when they feel like these guys are big enough or they somewhat of a threat, then they'll swoop in and crash the whole movement, right? This is what happened with the Black Panthers. They allowed these guys to build up, let them get up on TV and things like that and pose with guns and talk about what they're going to do and calling people pigs. And, it made nice news coverage. Let them get up there with their berets, on their little cute berets and their little black leather jackets and get their little photo ops in and stuff like that. And like I said, it made for nice fodder for the evening news. It gave the FBI, the CIA, and all these groups, ample exercise room. They were never really threatened by these people. They never really considered them a threat. Don't believe that nonsense about what they said. Hoover said these people are an eternal threat. No, they're not. They know that's just talk. They knew these people weren't threats because your threat, when you have people that are next to you and you're able to put your hands on them at any time, they're not really a threat now, are they? Remember that old line in The Godfather where he said, keep your friends close and your enemies closer? That is the principle that this society practiced heavily. Kept their friends close and their enemies closer. You're considered an enemy, the so-called black man and black woman, those who talk the revolutionary thing. But an enemy is not such a, not really considered a bad person. It's play for these people. They know you're not serious. They know you can never really take over, right? So they play with you like cat and mouse. Like, how the cat won't kill a mouse right away? The cat will roll a mouse up like a little ball and smack it around and, and torture it, tear its head off and, do little things just to get people to, just to have fun, just to, amuse himself before he kills the mouse. And then he still keeps the mouse around, for, I guess, some sort of value, some sort of play value. That's what happened with a lot of these organizations and these societies, these revolutionaries, black revolutionary societies and movements. Right? We're going to speak about that in great detail tonight. I am the intellectual ᴛRᴜᴛᴏᴜᴜᴜ, and this is State of Mental Radio, and tonight we're talking about revolution, right? The real reason why that is pushed to black people in this society. The real reason why revolution was pushed to black people and why we still chewing this up and eating it up today, why people are trying to restart this and have us revisit this in our minds today. Like I said, you got the new Black Panther Party out here. You got some of your black nationalists. They get all dressed up in their Black Power Ranger group costumes, and they still do their little marches and stuff and go to little towns. And then you got the funniest thing they did when that young man Trayvon Martin got killed. When he got killed by a guy Zimmerman, these guys came out here and went on the news. They went on the news and offered a $10,000 or $15,000 bounty on the head of George Zimmerman, I believe this guy's name is. They offered a $10,000 bounty on this guy's head. How funny is that? I thought you guys were warriors and soldiers and revolutionaries and killers. Warriors, soldiers, and revolutionaries and killers don't offer bounties on people's heads. They go and kill the people that they say they have a problem with. That's what they do. Yet this guy walked around free and everybody was swearing up and down they was revolutionaries, going to make it happen, they was going to set it off. Right? Hard body. Nothing happened. Those were about photo ops. Phony. It's about, like I said, a bunch of people who do nothing but utilize airtime and space to create distractions. You won't see black people who in the news who get positive coverage, who are doing things like starting so-called black people who are starting things like charter schools for the children, or when Dr. York built up this community and did things. You only heard about Dr. York when they had the negative sex scandals and things like that. They tried to say he was molesting kids. That's the only time you ever heard about Dr. York. Prior to that time, you didn't hear about him, building up the community, setting up a community to protect Bushwick and things like that, which was one of the worst drug areas in Brooklyn. as well as having brothers that go out here and clean up and make a difference in lives of young black men and black women, Latino men, Latino women, all that so-called minorities. I being one of those people, right? You didn't hear about that until, you didn't hear about him until that little so-called cult and sex scandal thing. But you'll hear about people like these guys sitting up here getting photo ops and trying to get news feed and get press, all for distractions, ignorant distraction, right? Because that's the light. These are the people that we sit up here and put energy into, and they're trying to get your attention. They're trying to get you to pay attention to these people, get involved in their movements. And the saddest thing I see today is young black men, young intelligent black men who get involved in this nonsense, who sit up here and still talking about black power and black revolution and things like that. Really? Really, black power and black revolution after, 40 years, 40, 50 years, and nothing ever happened? It's like, it's like pushing a damn freight train up a hill. That's not going to happen. Reason why it wouldn't happen is because revolutions are fought with no intention of winning. What do I mean by that? Revolutions are fought with no intention of winning because they always revolve in a circle. So the people who might seem as though they take power at the time will always revolve back into a seat of victimization. Perfect example of that is America. Now, America, they talk about the Revolutionary War, the American Revolutionary War, how America fought for its independence and did all this, and and they used all these people and things like that, and they fought hard to set up this union and whatever, blah blah blah. Yeah. Now you see America in the new millennium going back up under England. That's what's happening. That's what's up. America's going right back up under England. If you notice, the euro, which England is heavy with dealing in, has more value than the American dollar. You also notice an influx of British actors over here, right, that are taking traditionally American roles, right? Now, people might say, that don't mean nothing. Yeah, it does mean something, because image is everything in this society, especially in Hollywood, where they craft and paint images and whatnot to program and send out to the public. Image is everything. You see English actors everywhere taking traditionally American roles. Superman, Batman, just Idris Elba, all black English people, white English people, they just coming from all over the place out of the woodwork. The cat that plays Spider-Man, the young kid that plays Spider-Man in the last year in the movie from this year that was out, The Amazing Spider-Man, British. Why is that? Why is it that British people could come over here and they just automatically have dual citizenship? They don't have to get a passport. They have dual citizenship. They don't have to go through things. Say if you was like someplace in Haiti or something, you wanted to come over here, they don't have to go through all that. They can come stay as long as they want. The borders are open to these people. You'll never hear about them saying, I don't. You'll hear the people talking, I'm tired of these damn Mexicans coming over here, but you'll never hear nobody say, I'm tired of these damn white Englishmen coming over here, these English people. You'll never hear that. So, as you seeing this, as you seeing the influx of these people over here, that's a form of revolution within itself. A revolving of a society back into the arms of its original keepers. Now people say, no, the Native Americans, they had this, then, and the third. And those people are no more. You'll see them here and there, Like I said, Chris Rock said that joke. He said, he said, you'll be lucky if you see 3 or 4 Native American families out, so-called Native American families out and about. Because the true Native Americans were your Olmecs, black people. Those were your true Native Americans, not the feather kids. The true Native Americans are your black people, Olmecs. Something that people don't talk about, but this revolution is winding right back up. It leads you right back to where you started. Right? Same thing with the so-called black revolution that was influenced by the Russian Revolution. It all winds right back up in a circle. It all runs right back up in a big ball, starting right off where you starting right back off where you tried to proceed from. It was all directly a ripoff of the Russian Revolution and the communist movement out of the 50s, which is where the black communists came over and set up and influenced groups like your black nationalists and your Panthers and things like that with the black peace fist and all that, the black power fist. And I said those groups were set up in direct opposition to groups like the Nation of Islam, which was really considered an evolutionary group, right? It was considered an evolutionary group. Why is a group like the Nation of Islam, was the Nation of Islam considered an evolutionary group versus a group, say, like the Black Panthers, who was considered themselves to be a revolutionary group? Reason being is because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he took the stance that we must pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps, that we must come together and build for and do for ourselves. So anyone who is advocating doing for and building for yourself, that is a person who is enacting an evolution in a body or a group of people, right? That has nothing to do with anyone else. He advocated the evolution of a people, meaning a changing within ourselves. So if he advocated a changing or a evolution within ourselves, meaning that we had a problem, first and foremost, meaning that we had a problem, and that it was up to us to solve that problem, we can't blame people for what the problem was. Unlike your Black Panthers, they called the white man a pig, and they said, they saying that he was the reason for the problem. I mean, the nation did that too, but they didn't go as far as the pig, they called him the devil and all. But it was still about do for self. It was still about do for self. It was still about an evolution and changing and uplifting yourself. It wasn't about people standing around looking for people to do right by them, looking for laws to apply to them, looking to fit within laws, looking to have rights within the Constitution. It was about a people who were focused on doing for self, right? It was about a people and an evolution that was talking about living for, of, and by each other, and for each living for your family and your people and your children and your bloodline to come. That's what people like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was advocating. Whereas you had the people on the other side, the revolutionaries, who had this do or die type of thing that that was based on emotion, that was based on people who felt like they were denied. Reactionary people. Not actionary people who were going to stand up and do things for themselves and make their lives better, but reactionary people who were mad because they were denied, or they felt they were denied rights that were inalienably. I always mess that word up. Inalienably. I'm going to mess that word up. That they felt that they were owed by birthright here in the society. This is what the argument was. People who were felt they were cast out, that they deserved a place here. Because had our people been accepted in this society, you wouldn't have heard of any black revolutionary groups. There wouldn't have been people pushing for a revolution or something better. Revolutions are enacted through reaction. People who feel as though they're being done wrong. Evolutions are enacted from people who just want or have the desire to do better within themselves, and it really has nothing to do with anyone else. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that's what I liked about him in the Nation of Islam, that they didn't push, as heavily for the blame of other people more than we should have been blaming ourselves. He didn't push like that. He pushed it on another level, that we should be looking at ourselves for the problem. Especially as he got older. He saw that a lot of our people were messed up, and he saw our people were mentally dead. Right? And I advocate that today in the state of mental. It's still the same mentally dead people we're walking among. People who feel as though they deserve a handout. Your so-called black race. They feel they deserve a handout. They feel somebody owes them something. And this is the mindset that builds the revolutionary way of thinking. So what does that do? It feeds a people who are in charge to keep order. When you are talking about revolting, when you are talking about causing a revolution or uprising or civil unrest, what do? You create the need for these people to stay in power. What do I mean by that? Mentally, this world, this planet, this physical realm is dedicated and dictated on order, right? Not chaos, but order, structure. As I always said, this whole thing, the whole setup is based on order and structure, right? So anyone who is in line with that order and structure, those are the ones who will hold power. Those are the ones who will be in power. Now you listen to your revolutionaries who will throw things into chaos, and they will talk about creating disorder. These are the people who will go against the natural order. They will go against the structure that was set in place by that God or those God beings of that Amun race. They set things in order. They set man and woman in order. And if you're not following the order, if you're going against the order, then you will lose every time. Just as it is so above, so it is below. So it is even in our physical makeup. There is an order that is followed. And if you're not following the order, you tumble onto the line of chaos. This is why in this society it's necessary for people to keep order. This is why these people who are in charge have the charge, because as I said, they keep order. They have to constantly prove that they are needed in the society. Like I said, they'll let a civil unrest take place. They'll even help in creating a civil unrest, a so-called revolution, just so they can flex their muscle to prove that they are needed. Prove it to themselves and prove it to the God race, the ones who truly control this planet, the ones who they answer to, the ones who are seemingly in control of this planet are not in control of this planet. They are caretakers. As I always said, they're caretakers. They answer to a higher authority, and they have to prove to that higher authority, the true and living God, Amen, the supreme being, the true creator of the worlds, that they are necessary and that they have a purpose for existing. Because once they no longer have a purpose for existing, which is to keep order, when our people fell out of line and fell out of power and we refused to keep order, then they will continue to exist. When the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was coming up and they were, building up the nation like that, they were providing an order. They were structuring themselves, and that's dangerous. It's not dangerous because you starting to think that these people are going to structure themselves, do nothing, or do something. That's not the danger. The danger is when you get people in line, people who are disorderly in line, like how the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did, the so-called black man and black woman. They start to radiate or generate a certain power. They start to attract a certain power. And what is that power? That power is order. Because, as I said, the so-called black man and the so-called black woman, are supposed to be the natural caretakers, the natural lawgivers and order keepers on the planet. We're supposed to be the ones doing that by nature, not anyone else. So if you line the people up and you structure them and they are following codes of conduct and rules and governing themselves a certain way, right, in a straight line, then, like I said, you do that to a natural people, a natural conductor of power, then what's going to happen? A power shift starts to happen gradually. So for those people who are in power or who are the caretakers, their position is threatened, right? So they have to come and create disorder, right? They have to come and create disorder in order to keep their place as the caretakers, as the governors over the planet. They have to create disorder. That's what this is about. They will create revolutions. They will entice you to create revolutions. They will pay for revolutions, right? They will pay for revolutions just so that they can squash them, just so that they can give their soldiers an exercise, just so they can give their people an exercise, their intelligence groups and movements and things like that, just so they can maintain order to prove their necessity in the world. They will fund these things, knowing that you people got no chance of winning. Just a bunch of emotional people jumping around like jackasses with guns in their hands talking about what they're going to do. That's about as useful as a bunch of people throwing rocks at tanks, right? Or throwing rocks at Godzilla walking on the planet, or King Kong, people throwing rocks and got slingshots. That's how, that's what happens when you're dealing with something that's structured. It becomes bigger. When you have something that's structured, it becomes bigger. It starts to magnify itself. The people start to magnify themselves. Even if it's only a few, they will magnify themselves. Like I said, for example, I always give the example of the police here in New York City. I said you might have 60 or 70,000 cops here, maybe 40, 50,000 cops. How is it that they're able to police a city of 8 million people? Structure, order, a uniformity, right, of power, a confinement, and a pulling together of power in a straight line, a uniform of power, or blue wall as they call it. That's all done to create the idea and give the sight of power, and it works. You can have a few people who are organized, and they will dominate a massive amount of people who are not organized. You can have a few people who are organized, and they will be stronger than a massive group of people who are disorganized. That's your revolution. See, in your revolution, there's always disunity, there's always disorganization. There's always a lot of talking heads, and they know that. That's why they pay for the revolution. These people are deep, and they think, and they study things, right? The ones who are in control, right? These revolutions are never, and they know that these revolutions are never well-structured. They're never well-structured. There never is any real authority, strong authority. It's always people who are acting off of emotion or reacting off of emotion, and they know that. Once you could get a people to build a movement based on reactionary, or a reactionary group of people to build a movement based on emotion, then they know it's only a matter of time before that movement falls apart. They'll fund it, right? The powers that be, the people that you're supposedly going against, they will fund it in order to watch it fall apart at the seams, like a test. They'll test it. They'll make wages on things like that because they think it's funny to see our people marching up and down and around and talking tough and carrying guns. But the real threat, the real people that were feared were the people who were silent, the people who were orderly, the people who were focused on bettering themselves. Those people are considered more of a threat because they're only interested in bettering themselves. Right? Even though they weren't a threat to anybody, they didn't care about society, they didn't care about politics, they didn't care about anything. They just wanted to better themselves. People who are interested in bettering themselves, these people after a while are more of a threat than people who are not, the people who are looking for a handout. See, because the people who are looking for a handout, people who want to so-called do a revolution, eventually, if they do gain ground in what they're trying to accomplish, eventually they'll fall out and they'll end up right back in the hands of the people who they were revolting against. Right? This is real. This is very real. They know what they're doing. They watch. They watch our people because our people are so damn predictable. They're so predictable where you hear the rhetorical phrases and things like that, and you don't even think like, damn. It was a time, like I said, it's not heavy anymore. It's not deep. It's nothing to it. It's not deep anymore. It's not a focal point anymore. Our people are getting tired, right? Our people are looking for a way out. The intelligent ones of our people, the bright ones, the evolution is taking place, right? Because the evolutionary people are not listening to the rhetorical nonsense anymore. I made sure I played a rhetorical record, the most rhetorical record I could find, opening up Mr. ᴘᴜsဃᴇᴅ. You know, white woman lover that he was, big time black revolutionary man. My father used to say that about him. Not that I care that he married a white woman, I care less, but you know, that just goes to show you that your so-called revolutionaries are really assimilalists. If I said that word right, assimilalists. Yeah, they want to assimilate into society, and when they are rejected, when they are told they can't be a part of it, they get mad like little children. They storm off and they grab up a bunch of other little feeble-minded children, and they start talking about, you know, if we can't be part of this, we're going to tear up everything and tear things down. When it would have seemed more feasible for small groups of people to just left the country, go somewhere to an underdeveloped country and try to, you know, build up the government and, you know, get educated and do things like that, that would have seemed more feasible. You know, if you're not wanted somewhere, if you feel like you're being slighted, you could have took a group of people and went someplace else. I don't care how underdeveloped it was, and, you know, educated your people to, you know, learn agriculture and soil and things like that, and you could have went someplace else and built up a government. If you got enough people doing that, you know, I'm not talking about how Marcus Garvey tried to do it, where it seemed like he was more of the voice, but I'm saying you got a group of people who actually really ready to live like that and not BSing and really want to do that, then that is a viable dream, and that will be a viable reality. You know, where people are not dealing with emotion. You understand? They're dealing with logic and the will to want to live just and grow and advance themselves. People who are not sitting around here moaning and crying about the white man this and the white man that and revolution this and revolution that. These are people who just genuinely want a piece of land to call their own, to build and live and have and educate their children. That's it. If that's really what you want, you can have that. You can have that in the world. All right? Very easy to have. I'm not saying it's so easy, but it's much easier than talking about you're going to take up arms and start killing people. That's how ridiculous is that? How ridiculous is that to start talking about you're going to take up arms? That's emotional talk. That's female talk. You know? That's the female talk. That's the woman or the female that you broke her heart, so she ready to cut your face with a razor. You know, she ready to stab your tires. That's the emotion that goes into revolutionary talk. You know, not thinking, just energy all over the place. Evolutionary thinking is, you know what? It's our fault. It's our problem. We have to build ourselves up. We're the problem, not the other guys. We're the problem. And the people who don't acknowledge that we're the problem, we need to cut ourselves off from those people. Because these are always people who are going to be looking for confrontation. They're always going to be looking for axe to grind. They're going to look for somebody else to blame when they're the ones that's causing the drama. You know, I don't know how many people I had come to me, you know, telling me my focus in the state of Mentel should be on revolution and black power and, you know, what we're going to do when we get these arms, when we start doing what we got to do, you know, what we're going to do against these people, you know, these enemies that they try to bring up out of the air somewhere. They done came to me so many times. They're looking for a war plan. They're looking to see how many soldiers I got with me. And, you know, I'm like, what are you talking about? We businessmen. What the hell are you talking about? I'm a businessman, right? We are dealing with the betterment of ourselves as business people. There ain't nobody running around here with no black army fatigues on, talking about no guns on, nonsense. And like I said, the people who always talk that garbage, you never see them out here. You never see these guys with a body count, right? These guys never have a body count. These guys always run around. Half these guys, you know, they laying up with white women, right? Like your Gil Scott and all them guys talked all that black revolutionary talk. Eldridge Cleave and all these guys had white women. You know, these are black revolutionaries. These are the people who wanted to assimilate. They wanted in. They wanted mulatto kids. They like I said, they were a bunch of mad integrationists who couldn't integrate, who were not allowed to integrate in fully. That's really what it is. They would be the ones who would be against the evolutionary. They'll say, well, why you gotta, y'all gotta come together and be about, y'all coming together and building and doing for yourself when we got a good society here. The problem was the society wasn't good to them. They didn't want them in, so they rebelled. They talk revolution. And these revolutions are funded by people who look for an excuse to infiltrate and cut these groups down, to give the undertakers a body count, right? To come in amidst the chaos and bring order. So they can like they rushing in to a bad scene like cowboys with white hats on to save the day from these niggas with black hats on who causing all the disturbance. Big black angry niggas with leather coats on talking black power and black. That's what they set themselves up for. That's what they set themselves up for. And they fell right for it. And you got a young generation that are falling for this today. They falling for it today. Unfortunately. Young black men are hitting me up on Facebook telling me about black power. I said, really? Really, in this day and time, you talking to me about that? And I told them I'm not interested. I got the King Noble people was hitting me up telling me about some black hippie power and revolution and some nonsense. Revolution with some chick with her butt out, her ass hanging out, and with an afro pick in her head. This is the madness. People who could have been a real asset in the evolution of our people who have basically lost their damn minds. They said the mind, what is it, the United Negro College, the mind is a terrible thing to waste. And our young minds are being wasted. It's bad enough the minds are being wasted on smoking weed and talking a bunch of nigger nonsense and listening to a bunch of simple-minded hip-hop. It's bad enough. But then you got young minds sitting around here talking about Egypt and Africa and Ashe and Hotep and black power and black revolution. You understand? And their lives are not changing. They just become a bunch of broken damn records like the old fossils, the old worn-out ass fossils from the 60s who pushed that madness into their head, who basically was not able to do anything with their ideology that they was pushing 40 years ago. So now they want to go and infest the minds of the young brothers and sisters, the ones who could have a chance, the ones who could actually have a life, who could make a difference in the evolution of our people. They want to push that madness into their head. I want you young guys, for you guys who want to sit up here and get angry with me for talking like this, because I know some of you are listening as guests, I want you to look at these old fossils, right? The old Black Panther, the old revolutionary fossil. I want you to take a look at them and see what all that rhetorical talking and revolutionary nonsense, see what it got, where it got them. Right? See where it got them. See where all the Hoteping and Ashe and black power, see where it got them, because I'm so sick and tired of that. I mean, certain people are going to do what they want to do regardless. That's fine. But I talk to the people who are stuck in these things, who are looking for a way out, who are tired. Because certain people are tired. They're tired. They want to get off the merry-go-round. Or should I say the nigger-go-round. They want to get off the nigger-go-round. They don't want to keep going in circles and listening to the same stuff over and over again. They don't want to do that. They want to move forward. So I always do these broadcasts for you, those of you who are stuck, those of you who are stuck in the cracks and crevices of these groups, who are trying to find your way out, who are looking for something else, looking for something better, who are looking for something better, who are desiring a change in their lives. That's what we're talking about within the state of mental, because we first and foremost take blame for things ourselves, and we're looking to make change, intelligently. We're not blaming anybody else. It's not the white man's fault. All right? It's not no one's fault but our own. We're not blaming anybody. We don't hate anybody. Now, I know a lot of people will say, oh, brother, how you feel? You an Uncle Tom. You might have some simple-minded Negroes to say that. You know, but what are they doing in their so-called black militancy? Nothing. Nothing. They still supporting the same power structure that they claim to hate. Those leather jackets the Black Panthers bought, I'm pretty sure they didn't make them. Those guns they bought, they didn't make them. Now, I'm not. This ain't a broadcast to pounce on the Black Panthers, to diss them and whatnot. You know, they did a good job on they destroying their image, they damn self. This is for the young generation, those of you who were born 1970 and after, and those of you who are willing to listen 69 and back. This is for you to wake up and stop the madness. We're supposed to be moving in an evolutionary line, not in a revolutionary circle. We're not supposed to be going in a spiral or a spiritual realm of special rituals and things that move in a rotation in this spiral. We're not supposed to be doing that. You understand that? We are supposed to be moving forward. Because, like I said, no one's benefiting from these revolutionary talks. No one. You understand? No one's benefiting. Except maybe for the people who are collecting money and, you know, doing what they do to keep this madness going, keeping the distraction going. This is what the problem is in the evolution of our people. Too many people causing distraction. Too many people causing distractions. You know, you want to say that everybody, you know, has a different forms of, you know, drug of choice. Like I said, a lot of our people, the drug of choice is the camera. The drug of choice is the attention, the distraction. You know, the attention and the distraction. You know, we are distracted every day. We are distracted by people. We are distracted by movements, you know, things that serve us no purpose in our evolution. Ritualistic things, spiritualistic things. All the time. We constantly go through this, and we have to speak on this. The people will cause an uprising in themselves. You'll keep a people constantly begging for handouts and scraps until they get mad and they get attitudes and whatnot, and all that energy goes nowhere. Do you understand where that energy goes when you got people who sitting up here like you guys sit out there in Hollywood, you Negroes sit in Hollywood and you beg the whites out there to give you money to make movies, or you begging for this, you begging for that, you beg for record contracts, you beg for all these things, your handout. You do these things, and you beg and you plead and you do things out of character. You're willing to get on your knees, bend over, do all these things out of character. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's within your character. You do all these things when it would have just been that much simpler to form your own motion picture companies, your own record companies, and create your own image. You had these people moaning and crying about, you know, now they talking about people on Facebook, and they breed this in our people. You'll get one person to put up this thing about what's the lady who Zoe Saldana is playing? What's her name? This lady Zoe Saldana is playing in the Nina Simone. Nina Simone is Nina Simone. Everybody's getting on about how Nina Simone, she shouldn't be played by Zoe Saldana, and you know, Hollywood always doing this to our story and whatnot. And I'm like, you see that? They would have never, the difference between us and them, they would have never relied on us to tell their story. If they would have had to pool all their money together, set up their own movie studios to tell their story, they would have did that. Black people ain't going to do that. Black people will sit up here and cry and think somebody owed them something that they're supposed to do that. That's a revolutionary mindset, right? You had Spike Lee talking about black power and by any means necessary. This fool-ass Negro. He sat up there talking about by any means necessary and all this, and yet you working for Warner Brothers. You begging for nigger pennies from Warner Brothers. The same so-called white man that you sit up in the damn New York Knicks games with. I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious? I think that nigga's serious. He sit up in the New York Knicks games and whatnot, and he begged these people for money for to make his movies, and he done made probably over 20 movies or more. Nowhere in your now after 20 movies, ever movies you made, they're not giving you any money for movies anymore. Now you thinking to yourself, damn, I'm gonna go ahead and make my own independent movie. You should have been doing that when you was hot, when your name was up there, when you could have been pooling resources and pooling investors from, I don't care if you could have come from Africa and things like that. You could have been pulling millionaires and billionaires. People knew who Spike Lee was. Why didn't you do that? Your biggest highlight, was basically hating on people like Matty Rich and now John Singleton. Not that I'm a fan of his work, but that's your biggest thing now, complaining about Uncle Tomism and the motion picture industry when you spent your career Tomming. You spent your career begging a white man for money to make movies. So are you, just because you talk black, red, and green and you use by any means necessary from Malcolm X, that made you somebody to you were much better than Tyler Perry or anybody else? Really? Tyler Perry, he compromised himself in front of the screen and behind the screen. You just compromised yourself behind the screen, but you still compromised yourself. You understand? You still compromised yourself. You still put up that revolutionary mindset. And like I said, when you made the movie of Malcolm X and you talked about, you kind of painted Elijah Muhammad like he was some sort of charlatan and that he was wrong in what he was doing. I already knew what your mentality was then. I never went to none of his movies after that. Because for you to put Malcolm X up there over Elijah Muhammad, well, Malcolm X didn't do anything for our people other than just make speeches. Same thing you did when you talk about people. Did he just sit up here and talked about people too? I mean, he stopped being of any real use after he was out of the Nation of Islam. But for you to paint a group like that, an evolutionary group like that was interested in cleaning up the minds of our people, to paint them like they was a bunch of charlatans and they were a bunch of unsavory people at the behest of your white, the white people who gave you money to make your movie. That says something about you. That says something about your revolutionist. Right? That says something about your revolutionist. The Black Panthers, it was a time, after Malcolm X was killed, they was going against the Nation of Islam. They was going head up with the Nation of Islam because they was just so mad over Malcolm X getting killed. Right? Going into base with Minister Farrakhan, it was a beef with them over Malcolm X. Right? Though Malcolm X was in the Nation of Islam, and in any group, when you're a part of any group, and you take an oath to be a part of any group, you're subject to that group's rules and codes of conduct. Right? You're subject to that. Blood in, blood out. He was blood into that evolution and blood out. Ain't no blood out into the revolution. It don't work like that. Don't work like that. He was bonded to that group. He's remembered, Malcolm X was remembered for being part of the Nation of Islam, not anything after that. 1964 to 65, that's a small time. 12 years, your time in the spotlight, you were known as a member of the Nation of Islam, an evolutionary group about evolving a people. And then because you started trying to join the whole revolutionary movement and be a part of that whole madness, that's what tripped you up. That's what caught you up. See, these are the things that messed up the minds of our people. Because you notice, and I've always noticed that a lot of these revolutionary people are always in tune with the people that they claim to be against. Because that want and desire is there to be amongst those people, always. That's what the fight is. You take the so-called enemy they claim, the so-called white man, you take him out of the equation, and the fight is over. The revolution is over. These people are not going to go and set up a structure, any order. They wouldn't do that. That's not their mindset. Because if you can go and set up a structure and an order, you can go somewhere else and do the same thing. You want to assimilate. You revolutionaries want to assimilate. You know? They proved it when they was going around, like I said, your Black Panthers, the so-called black revolutionaries was running around with the Weather Underground. That white group, their white counterpart was going around killing cops, one white cop, one black cop to, go against authority. Right? Go against authority. Nobody saw the bigger picture, and you know what, hey, let's, if things not going right for us here, we can't set up our own order, let's go someplace else. Let's get our people together who want to make this exodus and go. And set up our order somewhere else and leave their order alone. Why sit up here and constantly beg and revolt and, act up and kick up in the kitchen when you can go someplace else and set up your own house if that's truly what you want? If your mindset is right to evolve, you can go and set up where you want. Don't matter where it is. Don't have to be Africa. It could have been South America. It could be anywhere. Anywhere on God's green earth. Right? You could go and set up anywhere. Set up a little society. Right? Marcus Garvey tried to do it. Unfortunately, he had Negroes that was shady and shiesty. Right? And it was not time to leave America yet. Because there was no real structure in what Garvey was doing. I mean, he had to pan, whenever you just putting a bunch of people into being black and Pan-Africanism and things like that, that's not enough of a structure. Because we did not deal with our problem. Garvey did not deal with our problem. I said the first person to diagnose our problem was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he said our people were mentally dead. That was the problem. So if Garvey would have been successful and he would have took a whole bunch of people back to Africa, he would have been taking a majority of mentally dead people back to that continent. And they proved that they were mentally dead because at the end of the day, they didn't support Garvey. A lot of them jumped ship on Garvey. They didn't keep the thing going after Garvey left. Yeah, they say, oh, yeah, the movement's still going, brother. Where is it going? Y'all didn't go back to Africa. Y'all didn't follow what Garvey said and go back to Africa. No, some of y'all might have, but the thing broke up. Marcus Garvey died in 1947, I believe. 1947. So nobody went and set up shop and be like, yo, you know what? We're going to keep Garvey's thing alive. None of y'all did that. Everybody basically stayed here. Maybe a few went back to Africa, but the movement was supposed to have been like 2 million or 3 million strong. What happened to all those people? You had a lot of mentally dead hangers-on, but that's what happens in a revolution. That's what happens in a revolution and a revolt. You have a bunch of mentally dead hangers-on. That's why I said our condition has to be confronted, where you have to first and foremost get the mentally dead people, the people who are not mentally or emotionally right. You got to get rid of those people in order to get people who are forward-thinking, who are evolutionary in their mindset and clear in their thinking before you exact a forward jump, an orderly jump in the movement of a people. You can't do that in a revolution. A revolution is just going to have you jumping around in circles, moving and doing the same things over and over again. A bunch of people with the same beliefs, no evolution on their thought, just moving in a circle, constantly rotating. Stirred up in madness. That's what's going to happen. These things can't help our people. They can't help. Like I said, this intelligence of intellect is meant to be a life preserver in the evolution of our people, because we've never had a direct knowledge. We've never dealt directly with the problem of our people, which is a intelligence problem, a mental problem. A problem where there is no mental connection to anything higher. A people who have an inability to see the bigger picture are a people who will perish. We have not had a knowledge, a full-on knowledge, a full-on intelligence that dealt with the problem of our people. Until now. We have to fix ourselves mentally. The ones who are willing to do that, the ones who know that there's a problem. The ones who are denying that there's a problem or saying there's no problem, these are the people who are sick. These are the people that are mentally dead. These are the people who are caught in the revolution. These are the people who are still looking for things to go a certain way to be okay. You understand? These are the people. These are the people still in a rotation state, in a revolutionary mindset. You people who go to work every day, you people are in a revolution. Y'all are revolutionaries. You understand? Don't believe that nonsense about revolution being a person who's a nonconformist. That's BS. Revolutionaries are your biggest conformists. Don't believe that. Your revolutionaries are your biggest conformists. Because as I said, the whole idea of black revolution or revolution in general is a people who are revolting over the fact that they are not allowed to conform into or have a place in society. So they are your biggest conformists. Or should I say they want to be, but they're denied. Their natural inclination is to conform, to be a part of that which is already established or structured. And if they can't, they revolt. You understand? That's the reality. That's the reality of who these people are. Don't think it's anything deeper than that. Don't think it's, oh, brother, you don't know what a revolutionist is. I know exactly what they are. I know exactly what revolutionaries are. Just as I know who evolutionaries are. We'll be right back. I'm going to tell you something about your revolutionaries. You know, the people who govern a society, they love your revolutionaries. Revolution is to a society what crime is to law enforcers. Revolutionary people are to a society what organized crime, and crime in general isn't law enforcers. They go hand in hand. These people constantly want to, what's the word I want to say? These people constantly want to have a confrontation with you. Your law enforcement, a lot of them look for confrontation. How many times you see a lot of these cops? I mean, you got cops that do it black and white. You got cops who go out here and they look for confrontation. They look to get out of their cars and put their hands on you, put their hands in your pockets, touch your private parts, and just generally, degrade you because they want confrontation. They want you to argue and fight with them and stuff like that. You got people who want confrontation. And it's, just like you got this so-called bully out there who picks on you because he wants confrontation with you, because he feels alive or he gets life or for having an interaction or a confrontation with you, right? You got very few people in this world who can go about their life or go about their business and leave you the hell alone. Let you move in your own lane as they move in their own lane. Let you evolve in your lane and whatnot. Have people who are like that letting you evolve versus the people who look for confrontation. That's what a lot of your police do. That's what a lot of your people who in society do. They look for confrontation because they get life off of confrontation. It makes them feel as though they have purpose. Like I said, you got some police officers, I don't care what race they are, I don't care if they black or white, they just go out looking for confrontation. They look, like I said, it could be the police officer, it could be the guy who just come and just step to you and start a problem with you, or it could be a boyfriend that just beat the hell out of his woman, or a woman who beat the hell out of a man who just looking to argue. You got people who vibrate off of confrontation, right? Your revolutionary people, they're like that. They vibrate off of confrontation. Right? They need somebody to feed their emotion. They need someone to feed their energy. Right? Like I said, you take the white man out of the equation, you take anybody else out of the equation, their fire goes out. Their pilot light goes out. When you start talking about, okay, well, what are we going to do to feed our children and build schools for our children, things like that, you don't hear nothing. You'll hear, oh, the white man this and oh, the white man that, or the Ku Klux Klan, they find, oh, the niggas this and the niggas that and the niggas this, and then you take away the black man and the Jew or whoever they hate, they ain't talking about nothing. You take away all that, they ain't talking about nothing. You know what they'll do? If you take all that away from them, you take that away from the people who sitting around here blaming everybody for their problem. You know what you do if you take that away from them? They'll turn on each other because these people are sick mentally. They need to feed on other people's energy. They need confrontation. The so-called Ku Klux Klan man and all them, if they couldn't find a confrontation with black people, they find and there was no black people here, they find a confrontation with each other. Oh, I don't like that white man because his hair is red. Oh, I don't like that white man because his hair is blonde. Oh, I don't like him. Or you have, if it wasn't no white people here, your confrontational black folks, your revolutionaries, they'll start sitting around talking, oh, that nigga too light-skinned. He light. He ain't black enough. I mean, it'll be a problem. These people are mentally ill. They can't go within themselves and evolve because there is no evolution in these people. They feed off of the energy and conflict of others, off of confusion. This is what Dalai Elijah Muhammad meant when he said our people are mentally ill. This planet, people on the planet are mentally ill. They're mentally disconnected from the highest source, from the supreme being, the true and living God, Amen. They're mentally disconnected. Because those people who are connected, they are on their own, or they are connected to a higher source on that evolutionary level, where they're not interested in what's going on in the side lanes. They're not interested in what's going on. They're not interested in the politics. They're not interested in these things. I'm not interested in these things. I just talk about them, like I said, the revolutionary topics I speak about, because I try to show the intelligence or the lack thereof behind these things so that our people can see. I'm not talking about these things because I'm concerned about them. I'm not. I talk about these things because our people are locked into these ways of thinking, and they're looking for a way out. And I present these broadcasts for you, but I have no interest at all in these things. When I see things like, Zimmerman or politics, or I hear about Barack Obama, or anything going on here, or revolution, or, the tax deficit, I'm not interested in none of these things. I'm not interested. Not interested in politics. I'm not interested in who's in charge and who's the president. I'm not interested in any of that. Like I said, that is the furthest thing from my mind. I don't vibrate off confrontation. I evolve off of my own, or should I say, off of the reception of God. I evolve off of the reception of God, and that's what the person who's in tune, the true people who are in tune, they do. Those people who are not, they revolve or cause revolutions based on confrontation, because they feed off of this physical energy here. They feed off that. This is what they do. There is no mental connection. There is no higher connection for them. There is no higher mental connection for these people. So they have to do this. They have to feed off of this. They need that hate. They need that confrontation. They need that anger. They need it. I don't care if they black, white, blue, purple. That's the human race. And those people who are on that sub-mental level, they need confrontation in their lives, because they are all revolutionaries. You are all revolutionaries. Those people who are moving in a circle, getting up 9 to 5, going to work, doing these things, y'all all revolutionaries. Y'all all revolutionary people. That's why, if you notice, Nike took that song from Gil Scott-Heron. Ain't this supposed to be some kind of, black power song, and they played "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised" and this, that, and that. Nike took it and, just ran with and played it in they commercial, because they know that ain't nothing. It don't mean nothing. They know it don't mean nothing. I think it was a running commercial or something like that with sports, because sports and all that is based on aggression. It's based on aggression, competition, confrontation. A lot of these sports are based on basketball, football. These things are based on confrontation. If you notice, the games like golf and things like that, they're not based on confrontation. Competition is one thing, but not confrontation. You got one guy taking a ball, hitting the ball, and the other guy come hit the ball, and those are not sports based on confrontation. We play the sports that are based on confrontation. Right? Confrontation is what revolution revolves on. It's what it feeds on. Confrontation back and forth to create confrontational people, where you confront people, where you put that person right in front of you. You know, you make that person your focal point. You blame these people for this. You blame these people for that. You know, like I said, people are always going to be out for their best interests. You understand? It's that simple. People are going to always be out for their own best interests in the submental world. I don't care if they black, white, whatever. You know, people, if you don't look like certain people, and even the people who look like you, they'll screw you. A lot of people, they'll screw you over because their minds are not right. That's why I said there has to be a mental connection with the people and of evolution, of one mind coming together for people to do right. If you got a whole bunch of different minds here in this society who are vibrating on different levels and low frequencies and whatnot, then of course you're going to get the problems you had here. The confrontation, the racism, the anger, all the things you have here, that's going to keep going on and on and on in a rotation forever. That's not going to stop because these people vibrate on a low mental frequency and they can't help themselves. They feed off confrontation. They've been, like I said, that's the submental state. You know, revolution is based on confrontation. What we should be confronting is the fact that we are not moving forward. Notice that no one talks about that in these revolutionary movements. No one talks about the education of the children. No one talks about building corporations and things like that to employ our people. Nobody talks about that. The only one who spoke about that was Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam when he was alive. He's the only one that talked about it and did something about it. Not just talked about it like a lot of these black groups. He actually talked and did something about it. So he confronted a problem within ourselves. He didn't make the focal point of the people. He didn't make though he talked about white people, but he didn't make them the focal point. He used that as a tool to get our people motivated. But ultimately the whole thing was to get our people motivated, get our people moving again, get our people thinking clearly again. You know, to attempt to jumpstart us mentally. That was the whole point. But a lot of our people missed it. A lot of our people still got this confrontational mindset. So they even tried to find something wrong in how Elijah Muhammad was doing things. Because they have a confrontational mindset. I get it all the time on Facebook. When I'm making posts, we get these confrontational Negroes that come in here, and they'll find something negative. Everybody agreeing, everybody flowing with what's being said. They'll just find some reason to be simple-minded and bring that black nonsense in there and try to be confrontational. They do it all the time. You know, so I'm used to it. Because our people, like I said, being connected to this thing, being caught up in this thing, being caught up in this physical realm, have become confrontational people, where they feel they need to attack and go back and forth with people and whatnot, especially somebody who looks like them. You know, they're trained to be attack dogs toward their own people or people who look like them. Because right now we're not the same people anymore. Mentally we're not, because like I said, if mentally me and you are not the same person, then we're not the same person. We as different as night and day. If we're not on the same page mentally, then we're not the same people. I don't care what our complexion of our skin could look the same. It don't matter. Confrontation. That's what is happening. That's what's taking place amongst our people. You know, our people are not in it to win or move forward. Because, like I said, you ask any people, if this revolution did happen, if this revolt did happen, and you accomplished what you wanted to and taken over things, what's next? What's next? What's next if you should, when which you're not, because these people are strong, ordered, what's next? Because you shouldn't always be thinking, in any war, you should always be thinking, what's next? The people don't really even have a real warrior mentality, because a true warrior thinks about what's next after the war, because that's what gets the person through. Whether he lives or dies, that's what feeds him to fight. You know, whether he uses the future as his children, being free, or his woman, or whatever the case, his family, whatever the case may be. He thinks in the future term. That's what the soldier thinks. That's what a lot of the American soldiers, the ones who join the army and the military, things like that, they join the military because their mindset is not so much on fighting, but more on protecting and preserving a way of life that's pushed to them in the whole rhetoric of American culture. It's pushed to them to preserve that way of life. And fight and protect that way of life. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. You understand? That's pushed to them. So as that's pushed to them, as that's hammered into their heads, that's what they're fighting for. They're fighting for the future. In their minds, they're fighting for a better tomorrow. See, the people who talk the revolutionary talk, especially so-called black people, they talk the revolutionary talk, but it's not about a better tomorrow. It's about feeding a need of confrontation and reaction. Because, like I said, you ask anybody who's on this revolutionary kick about taking people out and taking down governments, what's the next step after that? They couldn't tell you. Because that should far outweigh your revolutionary talk. That talk should carry you to the point where you'd be like, well, you know what? Since I got these great ideas of building another society and another movement and whatnot, I don't need to do that here. I can go someplace else and set up and do that. Yeah, I got to live to do that for my family. I don't have to shed my blood or die trying to do that because, like I said, it ain't nothing for them to bury you. There's nothing for them to put 100 shots in you or bomb you or kill you. Ain't nothing to them. Like I said, they feed off confrontation. You got people to feed off that. They like doing things like that because it gets their weapons working. It gets them to test out them weapons that they had all that time, them new guns, them new M16s or whatever, the new 220R, 1745, right, whatever the hell they got in their arsenal, just to test out on you. The bullets, they go around the corner and get heat-seeking bullets and all kinds of stuff they got in their little arsenal. They just want to test out on you revolutionaries. You got a lot of these law enforcement organizations where they put, they put the target up in the crosshair. They have a picture of someone's face up. They use somebody black or whatever. They have a picture of somebody's face up there, and they shooting at somebody's face. Right? That gets them off. That makes them want to hit it better. See? All mental. All submental. Right? All submental. But in order for you to see that, you have to vibrate on a higher frequency to see that. To see that this is all a game that's being played. To get your mind vibrating on a revolutionary mindset. A blaming mindset. Playing the blame game. You will never get any great results in your life as long as you blame others for your problem. You'll never get a desired effect and evolution and a change in your life or a change for the better as long as you blame others, because that's not really what you're in it for. You're not really in it for that. You're not really in it for the evolution. You're in it because, like I said, you live and vibrate off of confrontation. You got guys who live their lives off of these slogans: Black Power, Black Nationalism, Black Revolution. They live their lives off of those slogans, knowing that 9 times out of 10 in their lifetime that's never going to happen, or they ain't going to achieve that. But they live their life off of that. They know that's not real. They not willing to structure and order and put together society and be responsible to obtain that or uphold it. They're not trying to do that, because if they did, they would have went someplace else and did it. Once you seen it didn't work, it wasn't for you guys to start going into the government and becoming politicians like a lot of you so-called Panthers did, like Bobby Seale and all them guys. I guess the guy Bobby Rush or Bobby Seale, whatever his name is. I don't know which one of the Bobbies, or a few of them went into politics. A few of them went into politics, became teachers like Angela Davis on. Like I said, conformists, assimilists. That's all they wanted in the first place. That's what they ended up doing, what they wanted to do in the first place. Become teachers, become politicians. They wanted to assimilate in the first place. That was always the focus. Now, don't fall for none of that black revolutionary crap. That was all a threat or some confrontational threat, to make it seem as though they was about something other than conformity and assimilation. Don't fall for that. Because, like I said, real revolutionaries, either you're going to get up and do what you're going to do, or you're going to get up and leave. That's what real revolution, so-called revolutionaries do. Stop with this guerrilla warfare crap. our minds could be focused on something much better. Because I deal with reality. I don't deal with fantasy. A lot of times people want you to say things that are fashionable, something to sound good. Like I said, I probably tell a lot of people who are in the black mindset, in the darkness, to a lot of people I sound like I'm a traitor, I'm Uncle Tom, or how he gonna say that? You know, he don't stand for Africa, and America, KKK, and all that nonsense, or Ashe and the whole tap. I don't give a damn. You understand? Anything that doesn't have any intelligence to it, you know, that's being a distraction to my people, I speak on it. The ones of my people I feel are distracted, the ones who, you know, because like I said, this is for the evolution of their minds, the bright race. It's not for the people who are trapped off in that black mental frequency. It's not for them. It's not for them. They'll never learn their lesson. These people will never learn their lesson. They will constantly rotate in this circle. It's not going to be popular to a people because, you know, if you're listening to my words tonight, you know what I'm speaking about is beyond revolution, beyond black power. It's beyond the black pumping of the fist. It's beyond that what I'm speaking about tonight. To the ones who are keying into what's being said, you understand, the ones who are really keying in and listening, not just hearing my words and getting turned off. Oh, you know, that's what the Negroes, the confrontational, reactionary Negroes, going to do. Then when they hear this, oh, what are you talking about? He talking about, he can't talk against our black great griots and our black kings and our black princes and our black this. You know, how he going to talk against our black revolution? Well, no, it just don't make no sense. Like I said, you know, the things that make sense are things that are purposeful. You know, there has to be a purpose for what you're doing. There has to be a end result or a focal point on what you're doing. You know, what happens next? That's how you find out what the focal point is on what these people advocate. You find out what happens next. If you execute this thing, if you are to execute a plan, what's next? That's, you know, step plans are step, you know, plans are laid out that way. They're laid out that way. What's next? What's the next step after this one, after that one? What is it that we hope to accomplish? What are we building in place of the order that we're talking about taking down? What are we building in its place? If we somehow did get control of this, what are we doing next? What are we putting in its place? Because something has to be put in its place. If you're talking about supposedly taking an order down, you have to put something in its place. If you do not put something in its place, then chaos will reign out until something comes and takes order. And that next group of people who want this structured and order and organized, they will receive the power from on high to take control of the planet. They will receive the power. Because those who created the planet are an orderly people. Everything they do is based on order, and they only want orderly people in charge on this realm, not disorderly people. This is something our people will never get, which is why they will never come back into power. This is something the black race don't get, which is why they will never come back into power. They don't understand order. They've been taught how to react for so long, they don't understand how to think and act. All they know how to do is react and go off instinct, like animals. That's what we've learned here. But the person who sees beyond these things, the people who sees the bigger picture beyond these things, the ones who are not acting like trained seals, you know, trained seals that, you know, just basically bark and clap and do what they do, you know, these are the people who see the bigger picture. They don't get hyped up off of a group of people. They don't get caught up in a group of people talking madness. They look at something bigger. They look at the bigger picture. You know? They look at the bigger picture. They see the bigger picture. They're able to access the bigger picture. They're able to access the bigger picture. we have to access the bigger picture as evolutionary people. The bigger picture is always in front of us. It's always part of our evolution, a continuous evolution. We have to be able to access the bigger picture if we want to move forward. Blocking other people out. I say overlook people in order to move forward. You have to overlook people all the time. You have to overlook them, step over them. Because, like I said, understand that the people in your way or ones who causing you distraction by things like emotion, they react off of confrontation. You feed their confrontation. They want confrontation. You understand? The people, I don't care what race they are, black, white, blue, purple, the confrontational ones, the people who move off of what you or vibrate off of your energy. You understand? The people who look to confront you or have a confrontation with you out of nowhere, they're looking for somebody to suck life out of. Just as they're looking for you young brothers out here who are falling into this rhetorical nonsense about revolution. Like I said, these old fossils are looking to suck the life out of you. They want your energy because their energy is gone. Their energy is dead. They don't have 40 to 50 years of goddamn disappointment. You know? Woman left them. You know? They miserable, so they need young souls. They need young energy around them to enact this madness that they call black revolution, to make themselves feel impotent. Again, they want to sit around and lecture you on nonsense, things that serve no purpose, things of the past, when they are depriving you of finding out who you are into the future. This is sad, disturbing, and disgusting. We'll be right back. November 25th, Sunday, which is next Sunday, not this Sunday coming, next Sunday, November 25th, the Supermen, Superwomen Project, the State of Mentel's Supermen, Superwomen Project. This is a project discussion that we do every month where I will be talking and answering questions for about 4 hours, right, from 3 to 7 in Brooklyn, New York City, 1368 Fulton Street, between Brooklyn and New York Avenues. This is, like I said, question and answer. I'm talking, and, you get to see me live, raw, and full form, and just, like I said, structuring and getting our people mentally ready to evolve in a state of higher thought and evolution and coming together collectively, because we can't talk about coming together in that physical, in that mental realm without bringing ourselves together in that mental realm. I'm going to take a call, 510. Brother Reg, what's up?
Lubin, how you doing, brother?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Okay. Wow, man, this is a great show, man. It's really a great show. Everything you're saying, man, is just like, it's just my sentiments exactly. You feel me? You when you speak of the Black Panther Party, they started in West Oakland. That's where they first started. I lived in West Oakland when that whole movement began. At first, it began from a lot of small movements. One called the Association, and these other small black movements. But they all ultimately came together as one, and it was the Black Panther Party. But my mother and father were members, So when they had picket line, when they were in picket lines and all that stuff in front of these stores, department stores, and what have you, we had to go with them, carry signs and put a fist in the air and all that, right? Mm-hmm. We really thought we was doing something, but I was only a child, Mm-hmm. But ultimately, I'm going to tell you like this. The Black Panther Party movement was a huge waste of time.
Yeah. Yep.
These people, just like you said, they just wanted to assimilate into society. Oh. They wanted to be just like the white folk. They wanted to have the rights. We want to be treated. We don't like the way you're treating us. We want you to treat us better. You know.
Well, what was the thing they say? What was the thing when they showed? They said when they had the rifles and they was all up, always posing with their rifles and leather jacket. They said we have the right to bear arms in the first country. First of all, if you start quoting the Constitution, the minute you start quoting the Constitution and talking about your rights, you ain't revolutionaries.
Exactly.
Revolutionaries don't quote. They don't quote no Constitution. They just pick up guns and do.
They're totally against society.
Exactly.
They don't quote society's laws. They don't go to law classes to learn society's laws, and that's exactly what they were doing. They were trying to assimilate into white America, and it was ridiculous. And furthermore, they also got government grants. You know, they got money from the government. I ate the breakfasts for the children that they got the money from. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I marched with them. I went to the rallies and all that crap. It was all a bunch of bullshit. Yeah. It was just a bunch of nigger bullshit. And they publicized it and put it all on TV, and it was nothing but a distraction. These people knew that this movement was nothing. Mm-hmm. So they put it in front of our faces so that we could be distracted by it, you know, and get us all pumped up and fired up. And then they come in with their armed forces and just shoot up everybody.
Yeah, pretty much.
And a lot of people got hurt behind that movement. Me and my friends, my little friends, we like in the second grade. We're walking to school and the police pass by. We're oinking at them, oink oink oink, you know. Yeah. And they pulled over and they had fun with us. They lined us up in front of this garage. They frisked us. You know, they laughed at us. They threatened to take us to jail. Do you want to go to, you know, it was just ridiculous, man. It was ridiculous. And ultimately, these people went to these colleges and these universities, and they assimilated into white America. You know, and the media will hold them up in our faces to this day for these ignorant Negroes, you know, as martyrs for you know what I'm saying, for foolishness.
Yeah.
And niggas still talking about these niggas. They was a bunch of dope fiends.
Yeah.
Huey was a dope fiend. He was a dope fiend in 1968. Mm-hmm. You know. Yeah. And until his death.
He sounded like a white man. I was surprised. When you hear him talk, he sounded like a white man.
Man, he wanted
that nasal phone. I was like, wow, really? And like I said, these guys are screwing white women, and like I said, and then Angela Davis, she ends up with a white guy and whatnot. I'm like, well,
exactly.
You know, after she was with a white woman, now she's with a white woman, I believe. You know, so you know, that's the mentality of these people. They talk against society. They talked all that nonsense. Like I said, they got what they wanted. They got into politics. They got delay with white people. All that nonsense they say they was against. They went for the gusto.
Teaching at these schools of Western academia, university, a professor of this. Go to hell. You just messed a whole bunch of people's lives up. You prolonged the suffering. That's what you did. Yeah. For nothing. The civil rights movement, that's the same shit. Yeah. That shit was on TV. You look at anything that the people that are in power put on TV. You got to know that it's bullshit. You got to know.
Well, I'll say this. I know, and just in anything, you had some sincere people. So the people who was really sincere, who believed they was doing the right thing, who were just following, like I said, I say, you know, I give those people credit because you got sincere people, just like you got, and I do all this talking when I speak about, you know, things like this and movements like this because I do it for the sincere people who are truly looking for intelligence and light. I'm not here to really bash those people because I really don't care about those people, but, you know, I just hold these people up to show you the farce and the distraction that these people have created and the evolution and being obstacles in the evolution of our people. Because without these people there, or, you know, these people, like I said, those you have a lot of our people, just like in the civil rights movement, who was sincere. They felt they was doing the right thing. They just didn't know no better.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know, like I'm pretty sure your mother and father, they felt they was doing the right thing by being with this madness.
Yeah, they did. They to this day
they were sincere. They wanted to make a change, and that's unfortunately who these people gravitate toward, and they cause confrontation for and whatnot, because their mindset is really not to change anything. Their mindset is just to react and conform.
And they wanted money. They wanted money.
Yeah.
That's what they wanted, man. Ultimately, they wanted money. These people bought homes from the grants they got from the government.
Yeah.
You know, they just wanted money.
Yeah.
And dope and white women and women in general. That's what they were about.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's sick how they just keep putting this shit out here for these idiots to just keep feeding on. But it's okay. Yeah. It happened, you know. I'm gonna tell you. Let's move to Brother Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes.
You know, outside of Islam, that was a great man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was a great man.
Yeah.
And I was with the Muslims, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I was with them. But I mean, if you think about all the movements, you 40-something. I'm 50 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I was privy to Garvey, you know. And
I know you was 50. You 50?
Yeah, I'm 50.
You don't sound like it at all, man. Not that I don't know what 50 sound like, but you don't. I would have pegged you at least like maybe in your late 30s, early 40s, man.
Yeah, I'm 50 years old, man. 12 kids, 2 jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But I mean, I used to say that these movements were viable for their time, but I disagree with my statement totally, because to me they weren't viable. They were a waste, except for when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came along, because he wasn't begging anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Elijah Muhammad said, we can do this on our own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The revolution will be televised. If it ever happens, it will be televised, because they want niggas to see that. Yeah. But the evolution will not be televised.
No,
you understand?
Not at all. Not at all. They love to show off people.
No movement that has ever so-called risen up was ever viable except for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yeah, the Nation of Islam, and that was under Elijah Muhammad. Anything after that, that's just a bunch of poor substitute teachers. You know, so whatever. Yeah, anything like I said, I'd say the real Nation of Islam, the old Nation of Islam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you were speaking about Spike Lee. What a ridiculous little man. What a ridiculous little man. He bitter because, you know, he talked all that black stuff. Like I said, he one of them guys that played two sides of the fence. You know, he talked that black crap 1 minute, then he over there at the Knicks game with a bunch of white dudes talking, exactly.
You know, come on, man.
Trying
to beg them for money.
He's an assimilator, too. He is. But what happened to Matty Rich? Whatever happened to him?
Matty Rich somewhere in California. Like I said, Spike Lee was hating on Matty Rich, man. You know, like I said, you know, he just Spike's just a hater. Anybody, like I said, he's a hater, and you know, creep. You know what I mean? You know, but like I said, he hated on the Messenger. You know, like I said, a lot of people let him get at try to crap on Elijah Muhammad's name and the Nation of Islam name, and that nobody really stood up for that or said anything.
Yep. You know what? I don't even think the white people would have even given him any money if he was doing a film on an evolutionary movement.
Of course not.
They wouldn't have done that. I read Malcolm's book. You know, so what? You know, it's just a bunch of crap, man. But it was one more thing I wanted to. Oh, okay. The state of Mantell. This movement right here. This is the movement right here, bro. This is it. It's in its infancy. It's in its infancy right now, but I can still see the vision. I can see it.
Well, that's because the vision is with the people, and it ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. It ain't got nothing to do with reaction. It got to do with action and people who. It's just people, plain and simple. People who want to do better. People who are in that reception of doing better, who thinking on a higher level, and who will thus come together and do for self on a higher level and advanced level and continue in the evolution. Simple as that. It's just people doing better and want to do better and want their children and their children's children to do better and live in an environment in which live in environments where you surrounded by those type of people who have evolved mentally beyond this black nonsense.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Hey, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go. But
Right.
man, I've been having a real feeling about something that's gonna take place before the next 4 years is over. Because this event, if this event took place, it would turn this country upside down. And that event would be if the Negro president was assassinated. That would turn this country upside down, and it would be worse than any other Negro assassination in history.
Well,
I have a feeling that this will take place before this man is out of office.
Well, I wouldn't want to see Barack Obama get assassinated.
Oh, I wouldn't want to see it either.
Well,
it would do something to this country that I think that. Go ahead.
Those type of things I don't have any interest on. I mean, I couldn't say one way or the other. Barack Obama, I don't have anything against him, or I'm not for or against anybody. Like I said, I just don't have any interest. I'm indifferent toward all of that stuff. I just don't have no opinion on it at all. I'm just indifferent. So.
Yeah, I wasn't going to share that on the show because I know how you feel about topics such as that. But I mean, I don't really care either. I don't want to see nothing happen to the brother, but I mean that has crossed my mind for since he's been reelected. But I mean, I hope it don't happen to the brother. But judging by the past events that has taken place, I wouldn't put it past him.
Well, if it did, like I said, it's Amin's will. If whatever happens, it's all Amin's will. So, like I said, I don't look to man for anything. I look toward Amin. I always look at the bigger picture. Those who control this thing, those who control the time and the frequency and control the dimensions. I look to that. I don't look to what men do. Men are just instruments. Men are just instruments. So let me close out. But I got to take these do these last questions.
Okay, brother. I'll speak with you soon.
All right. Take care.
All right. Peace.
All right. Brother Reginald from Oakland. Thank you for calling in, brother. All right. Let me do my last questions before we get out of here. What is revolution and why is it really pushed to black people? Simple, to just basically slow down our evolution, to keep us in a rotative, ritualistic form of thinking where there's nothing new entering that circle. Nothing new coming from beyond the sun in to evolve our people, because we lock ourselves into this box of pre-thought ideas and reactionary beliefs. Right. It also helps to sharpen the teeth of the people who are advancing ahead of us in their intelligence, the ones who control the society, to feed on us. You know what I'm saying? So they keep us in this revolutionary mindset to sharpen their teeth and pick their teeth on us to, strengthen their purpose to keep order. Right? Where did the idea of revolution come from? Revolution has been something that's been going on since, government's been formed. There's always a people that's going to be on a submental level that are constantly going to be out of whack with that intelligence of God, which is order. And it's always going to be a bunch of people on that submental state that will want to bring chaos, because there's always somebody that has a problem with something. They want to cause confusion, right? Because as I said, people never take the idea or the principle of the Moses story, or ʻNephistim, which is where the Sumerian story, where the Hebrew Moses story really came from, the Sumerian story of ʻNephistim, where, which really is the Egyptian story of Akhenaten, where he just, when he didn't like the laws and the things that the people was going on, he just got his people together and made an exodus. He left. He didn't try to fight the government. He didn't try to argue. He just took his people and went elsewhere and set up their own thing and whatnot. That's what he did. Took his people, left. You don't have to stay in a place where you're not happy, where you feel you're not wanted. You don't have to keep revolving in a reactionary hissy fit about what you feel you being denied. If you don't like it, leave. Take your people and make an exodus. Go somewhere else. Do some research. Go someplace else. That's what I would do. before I sit up here and start talking about picking up guns and fighting and forcing people to like me. That's like people sitting at the lunch counter and telling people, I'm going to force you to feed me. I'm going to make you give me something to eat. I'm going to make you cook for me. I'm going to make you spit in my food, and then I'm going to pay you for it. Thank you very much. Reactionary. Simple-minded. Stupid. Right? This was the mentality of people back then, and still today. Confrontational. Who really benefits from revolution? As I said, the people in power benefit from revolution because this is how they use revolution to polish their machines. They keep their arsenal sharp by firing their arsenal on revolutionaries, by using their machine, by using their agencies to destroy so-called revolutionary movements. So that's the purpose. Same way they allow organized crime and things like that to exist here, so that you can eventually, when they, like a cat playing with a mouse, eventually they can squash these things or take a few of them to jail and leave some there and take them all off gradually to jail. Right? It's all done with a purpose. Everything. Right? To sharpen the teeth of these people, but in an orderly fashion. Why were black groups pushing revolution back in the 60s? Because it is an overlay of what the Russian and the communist movement was doing in the 50s. They were set up, a lot of these groups were set up, and messages were put in their mouth, fake, antiquated messages were put in their mouths because, like I said, they were the so-called militant end of the civil rights movement. It was all going hand in hand. The civil rights movement and the black power movement was the same thing. One just asked for rights, one just demanded rights. But at the end of the day, they both were, they both had their hand out, right? And that's what this society loves, to see our people with their hand out. They love to see our people begging or at the mercy of the society instead of people pulling themselves up by their bootstraps, working together in an orderly fashion to cause an evolution in our people. They would rather keep us in a rotative state or a revolutionary state of begging, looking for a handout, demanding it. So, is revolution being pushed today in this society? Yeah. When you see shirts like Che Guevara and all these other people, they're trying to push that Che Guevara thing and pushing the new Black Panther Party, pushing all these things again today on the people because they're trying to ignite a revolutionary mindset to get our people back in that circular way of thinking again. And our people are falling for it, unfortunately. It's sad, but true. Right? How is revolution being reintroduced? Like I said, through American pop culture. And when you see Nike playing the Gil Scott-Heron song, revolution won't be televised, and they put out the Che Guevara shirt and all, and the fist and all that, and and they put all that, and then Spike Lee put the Malcolm X thing in an American flag and wrapped in the American flag. Well, that's really pushing the revolutionary mindset back into American pop culture. They're trying to push it into American pop culture to get a mind to create a mindset in the people to keep them in a revolutionary or rotative way of thinking, to push them back in their way of thinking. That was all done purposely. It's a mind game. Don't fall for it. All right. What will be the future outcome of this revolutionary talk? More mental slaves, unfortunately. More reactionary people, more confrontational people, more emotional people. That will be the outcome. It's never a good outcome. So, that is it. I am the intellectual Nuben Menkarayzz. Join me November 25th, Sunday, November 25th, in Brooklyn, New York, at the Supermen, Superwomen Project, 1368 Fulton Street, between Brooklyn and New York Avenues. You can call 718-510-3769 for instructions on how to get there. What are we closing out with? Something short, because I got 3 minutes. Let me see. Come on. I don't know what I want to close out with. Trying to see. Okay. Narubi Salah. I am living math. Good night.
It's the public intellect, rising out the black race to the white race, out the black race to the white race. The students public intellect, black race to the white race.
If it's hell, I'm and then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and blue. Superman, superwoman, that's me and you. The infinite capabilities that we can do.